Hey everyone. So my latest project or video, as you could probably see by the title, is called Qualifying Your Clients. I think a few people have different ideas what it means qualifying your clients. Some people think about it as how to make sure if the client is a good fit for you. I would also say that it's a good time for you to figure out if you are good for them in terms of what they're looking for and what you have to offer. And also, it's kind of an introduction call where you explain what you can bring to the table and the really basic information that you need from your clients to actually work on their trip. And by saying basic, to some people, names, dates of birth seem like the basic thing. But some people tend to even forget to pick up legal names, who they're traveling with, and if they're traveling with kids, ages, even dates of birth. I try and actually get legal names for everyone as I'm working on the option, because if I do find a really good option, I like to hold it, whether it's a cruise or even an all-inclusive option. Then I'll have all the information. But if I'm not getting the names, at least so I'll have the dates of birth, because we all know that the price might change if you're pricing a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old. And I've had situations where someone said, yeah, I'm going with my kids, and then the kids end up being 21, 25, and so kids to one person, could mean a lot of things. Also, um, budget. I really like to ask budget. I know some people don't like putting a client on the spot, give me an amount. Some clients might worry that if they give you 5,000, you're going to try and get them in the 5,000. And if there's something for 3, you won't offer it. So I just explain to them that they'll probably get something as long as their budget is realistic. I will get them, the best possible option. But if their budget is higher, I know where to target maybe a better room. Like an ocean view, ocean front, swim outs, maybe a bigger room, like a one bedroom or a suite. Maybe connecting rooms if it's a family of 4 versus having all the family in one room. Same for direct flights or non-direct flights. The budget helps. Now, if the person doesn't know, I haven't traveled in 10 years, I don't know what the amounts are, or that's why I call a travel agent, so you tell me what's the amount. Try and figure out what's where they've been before, not if it's more than 10 years, but if they stayed at a Marriott, or if they stayed at a Motel 6, or a Best Western, or a Four Seasons, or a Ritz. It does help you get some sort of idea as to their budget. If it's a full service hotel, or they tend to stay more in like a long term. It doesn't have to be like a Super 8, but it can be like a Residence Inn style, Fairfield Inn, Garden Inn, depending on the brands that you guys know. It does help if it's a full service hotel versus, something else. Um, what is also important to ask, if you're dealing with a person who likes to, if you're cruising, well, of course, ask the type of vacation, where they want to go. Hopefully you won't get, I don't know, whatever. I just looking to get away. Now is the time to actually try and steer them in a specific direction. So if they're looking for an all-inclusive, if the product in general, you would know that the majority of all-inclusives are Mexico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. So you would give them these places and see how they react. I even do it, even before, because some people have some, I don't know, they don't want to go to Mexico, they don't want to go to DR, or if they've been to Jamaica 10 times, just figure out what is it that they want to do. I would say the beginner, Mexican, Dominican, Jamaica, and then the more advanced, because you could find, if you're talking about all inclusives, They might not even want an all-inclusive. So that's one of your questions. You really don't want to start working on a trip and then you'll send it to them and they'll like, oh no, we actually thought about taking a cruise, or oh no, we will never get on a ship, or no, we don't like Mexico for one or two, three reasons. So just make sure to ask all these questions. That's going to save you, again, a lot of time when you're actually doing the research, so you don't send and work pretty much for nothing, you know. Some like to ask, where you got the information, so you'll know if it's your information as the agent, whether it was a referral, a past client that just saw your name in one of, like social media groups or something. It helps because if the person is actually shopping, or they actually know a person that traveled with you, so you have recommendation. That, I think, puts them, and to me, like a higher tier, because I know that it's a much better referral. Also, some agents like to ask if they've ever worked with an agent before, so they know the process. If they've never worked with an agent before, of course, ask them why do they reach out to you right now. And this is a place to plug in what you bring to the table. Whether you're selling Disney, or you're selling a cruise, or you're selling all-inclusive, that's where you start giving the information. I've sold this 100 times. I know the dining procedure, the fast pass procedures. I've been on the ship. I've cruised on the ship. I've done a ship inspection. I send a lot of people to this specific property. I've done site inspection. Great partners of us, they always help us out. It's maybe some upgrades. This is where you kind of plug in the benefit of working with a travel professional, so they will know. This is a time for you to decide if you want to work with a client. This is also the time for the client to actually decide if they want to work with you, and of course get all the information that you need from the client, so you don't have to call them again and get more and more information. So more questions that you can ask your clients is where they've been before, not just the property, but the destination itself. I do find, for some reason, that some people, maybe it's the issue of finally finding a really good place. They want to go back to the same spot. If they want to go back to the same resort, same destination, you could make your life easy. I would probably still offer them another option, but it's really up to you how comfortable you feel with the destination or with what you're offering. Some would just decide, they like that specific property, they've been there before. Let's just send them, that's what they want. Let's just give them what they want. It's an easy sell. Let's just close it and wrap it up. That can make it easy. I've actually asked on our Facebook group to see important questions for people. I saw some food allergies, which you probably know. If you are focusing on it or not, you would know that some cruise lines or some resorts, some areas tend to be more attentive to food allergies. Maybe with food allergies, you don't want to sell an all-inclusive. It really depends, if it's a life-threatening food allergy, or just we don't like, or we don't eat gluten, or we're vegetarian. There are some that are really easy to accommodate, and there are some that are really, I would say, maybe risky, and maybe you want to tell them, we'll do an EP, we'll do no meals, and then we can find the restaurants later to find out what you want to eat, or maybe you bring your own food. Again, really depends on food allergies or accessibility, if they need wheelchair accessible property. I find that the more questions you ask, the easier it is to sell. So if you're selling for a family, and they want like a big resort, they want slides, they want tons of activities, they want a bowling alley on property, they want a casino, all of these things kind of help, because there's hundreds of properties out there. So the more you ask, the more information you get. If you're selling them to one of these, one of the islands, is the beach important? If they're looking for more of a resort style, maybe more a high-rise property, is the view important? How big the property? Do you want it like walkable? Some properties, they have the golf carts where you have to go from one place to another. And it's not just like the cheap places, even, like the Fairmonts and the Mayakoba area, if you know them in the Riviera Maya area, they're huge properties, and you need a shuttle. If you're going like couples resorts in Jamaica, some of the rooms are really high up. You need it's quite a hike to get down to the beach. So it really depends. You need to know the property, and again, the more questions will help you research, just in case you don't know. Some I saw say that a question, if you've researched before, like have you checked online, maybe if you checked with another agent. I guess it really depends on your clientele, or one of the first questions is how you got my information. You might want to explain to them, if they don't know how it is to work with a travel agent, that the profit, the commission, it comes only after they sold, unless again you're charging fees. Then it doesn't even matter, because if you charge a fee, whether they work with another agent or not, you still have the fee. So that's probably not one of my favorite questions to ask. I don't think I've asked it before, but I kind of get to it when I ask how they got my information. Something important that I haven't mentioned is, like, why are you traveling? You would find out that if it's a honeymoon, anniversary, maybe a family reunion, it's more of it's more like, I don't know if I want to use the term, but recession proof. So people will travel. It's more likely that they will travel if it's a honeymoon, or if it's a big anniversary or something like that, versus, oh yeah, we're just taking the kids, or we just want to go on vacation. Also, you will see that in these special events, special occasions, people tend to splurge a little bit more, maybe take the higher category rooms, maybe the better properties. But don't underestimate, like, if a family goes and they have little kids and babies, they want to make sure the facilities, everything's clean, that the food is good, that the kids club is good. So they will tend to go, they might be able to go on a higher budget, or a better property. Two important questions to ask, of course, is where they're traveling from. I mean, if they're local and you know their area, you know the airports, but don't assume. Just verify what's the best airport for them. I'm in the North Jersey area, so normally Newark is a good option. Some people, and I will ask, like, if you would save a significant amount, would you consider going to JFK? In rare situations, we even offered people to fly from Philadelphia, compared to flying on direct. We will always push for direct flight if possible. Just less things that can go wrong. So just make sure what's their preferred airport, just so you'll know. When you're asking for time, dates, when they're looking to go, see if they're flexible. If they're going with kids that are in school, they might not be flexible with the timing. Could be like a February, April break, summer break, or Christmas break. But don't assume. Some people will be willing to maybe get one or 2 days, off from school, to save a significant amount. Because sometimes, as you'll know, as soon as schools close, that's when the prices go up. So always ask to see if they're flexible, if they're willing. I've had a couple ask for a February break vacation, and I had to ask, like, are you guys teachers? Are you working in the school system? And they said no. So there's no point of going that specific week. If they're flexible, if they can go the following week or, a few days after, savings can be significant because everyone wants to go that specific week because the week the kids are off from school. So don't assume, double check, verify, ask where they want to fly from, when they're looking into flying, and if they're flexible. I would normally, when quoting, if the price is really high for air, I would always check a day before, day after, maybe even a few days, just so people will have their options and they'll know. So in asking my fellow agents on the Facebook group, important questions, I saw someone asked about, or a question asked a client whether they're ready to make payments or they need a payment plan. I don't know if I would ask it as a question, but I would probably plug it in. When it's time, when you're asking if they've ever worked with an agent, when you explain to them what you bring to the table, you explain to them how things work. Because if they've never worked with an agent, this is the time to explain to them that normally we take a deposit. Deposit can be refundable or non-refundable. It depends on the product. But there's normally a deposit per person. And then later there's the final payment date. Unless it's a last minute trip or a trip within, 45 days or 90 days, again, depending on the supplier. But let's say they're planning, 4 or 5 months away or next year, then they'll have a deposit, and then final payment will be due at X that date. A tip for you guys, always tweak the date a little bit, give yourself a few more days. Just in case you couldn't reach the client, just in case the card was declined, just in case. So add, 3 days, some even do a week or even 2. The bigger the group, the bigger the size of the party, if you have 5 families working together, increase that time, because there's going to be that person who's going to wait for that last minute. Then their credit card expired, they're waiting for a new card. Oh, we just applied for a new card because that card gives us bonus, and we're waiting until it comes in the mail. Some suppliers are okay with waiting a day or 2. Some will cancel at midnight 01 if they don't get your money. So I wouldn't risk it. Give it a few days. Give yourself padding on final payment date. We do also, if that's something that seems important, tell them that we as an agency can offer them payment plan, so they'll make payment for the deposit and then they can make multiple payments up until final payment. I tell people you can make as many payments as you want, just as long as by the final date it's paid in full. For the most part, I would say 95% of my business, people just wait and pay in full when it's time to pay. But if depending on your clientele, depending on the people, give them the option. That's an option that normally an online agency, if they book on Expedia, Orbitz, or whatever, they don't offer. You don't have that option to customize, so mention it. Okay. Okay, so expectations. I think that normally setting expectations is like the most important thing when you're communicating with your clients. Personally, when I sell a cruise trip, a vacation, a tour, it doesn't matter where in the world, I will always try and explain to the client what they're actually going to receive. You won't find from me like, oh, this is the best property ever, best hotel, best beach, best food, because I think that it's subjective. It really depends. So my palette, or what I think is the best property, doesn't necessarily what the client would think. So I'll give them the information. If a hotel that has 2,000 rooms, tons of water slides, all the activities interest them, perfect. If a small property, 24 rooms, oceanfront, only one restaurant, that's their thing, perfect. Whatever is perfect for them, they'll have to make the decision. I'll just give them the information, and then explain like the disadvantage and the advantage of having a big property. You know, if you have big property, yes, you might have 4 or 5,000 people with you, but you'll have 16, 20 restaurants to pick from. Same as, you know, mega cruise ships or something. Or if you're, you know, a small property, then you won't see a lot of people, but of course you'll have only one pool versus, you know, 5 or 10 pools that the big property will have. So it really depends. You know, I like the resort style, but that means normally from my room to the beach, I'll have to walk for, you know, 5-10 minutes, or to get to the main lobby or the restaurants, versus, you know, a small property, oceanfront, 10 steps, I'm on the beach. So it really depends. Give them the information, set expectations. I always like to set expectations a little lower, because you just can't go wrong with that. They'll be pleasantly surprised, or you know, it is what it is. You just give them the good and give them the bad. Again, we are talking about qualifying your clients, but I think that first interaction, that first information, and all of it, that's key. That will help close the deal. And I can tell you, for the most part, if you qualified your client and you made the whole thing and you explained, you pitched about being a travel agent, what a travel agent does, it's highly likely that if they are traveling, they will continue traveling with you. So just make sure that you're actually qualifying your clients. Again, if you want to ask some of these questions and you'll send them like a huge property and, oh, we actually like the boutique properties, or vice versa, or a destination that they don't want, they do want, just make sure, have a list. I personally don't like to send a form for them to fill. But I do have some sort of a form. Most of it is here, but I go over the questions. We do maybe half an hour, 45-minute even interview. Again, it really depends on how the conversation works, but then you kind of start creating a relationship with your client when you're asking all these questions, and then you can send them an option. And we'll talk about, maybe do another video regarding how to send options, what to write, what not to write when you're actually sending a proposal. Because if technically, even with this introduction, if you give too much, they might just go and book on their own because you gave them all the information. So again, don't give out too much information. Don't give them options when you're doing the introduction. Oh yeah, I know a good property for you. Go and check X and X, just so you'll see. And then once you send them the option and you reach out to them, oh, you know what? We looked at the property that you've mentioned during our first initial call. We loved it. The price was really good, so we just went ahead and booked it. You know, oh, my wife did it. I didn't even know, but we kind of mentioned. So don't give everything during the first call. Work on it. It also makes it seem a little more professional, because you're not just throwing properties out there. But you know, just make sure that they know that you know, but don't give them the information before the process actually started. So I think that's pretty much it. I might add a few questions later that I got from the Facebook page. Let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. You can also hit the notification, so you'll get a notification on your phone when a new video is uploaded. I'm going to try and do a few of these that are not live. Hopefully you guys find them helpful. And that's pretty much it. How to qualify your clients. Bye everyone.